Have you had this conversation before? Hey, want to do a raid with me? Then your friend might say, oh, I don't know, I'm not very good, or I don't know the encounter. And then you might tell them back, no worries, there's a glitch that makes it super easy. Now perhaps you are on the end of knowing the glitch, or perhaps you're on the end being told about a glitch, but that is the point of this whole video. What's up guys, I am Church of Caboose, and today's Destiny video is about using in-game glitches. I'm talking about raid cheeses like the Riven cheese, and I'm talking about exploits like the AFK forage farming. Game exploits that don't require some use of an outside program. That's the focus of this video. Now, hacking and cheating is when you use some program like Perfect Aim to modify the game and or your account. Exploits are things that are in the game that don't work as Bungie intended or whatever that game developer is. The result for Destiny is insane speedruns, going off the map, and raid cheeses, as well as some other endgame things such as duping the orbs and Pits of Heresy. Today we are looking at if using these exploits is cheating and okay to use, as well as what Bungie can do to reduce the desire for players to use these exploits. But before I go on into the video, make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. If we hit 600 subs by October 20th, I will put together a compilation video that is all about my wonderful baby girl, Winnie Rose, such as this video.
Grandma wants to know, do you want a new toy? Yes or no? Yes? Are you sure? Do you want a new toy? No or yes? Yes? Okay.
If we hit 1,000 subs by November 20th, I'll give her a little dog toy box opening thing, so that way she lives her best life, and I'll record the whole thing so you guys can enjoy her getting to go through opening up and getting all those toys. Believe me, it's adorable. So that way you guys can share in it, because you would have played a hand in her being able to get the box, because that's kind of my incentive to you guys to see some adorable corgi lose her shit. So make sure you guys are subscribing to my channel as well as liking the video. I would also like to know what you guys think about this video. Let me know down below in the comment section if you agree or disagree about my thoughts on the use of exploits, as well as any other input. Now, if you're looking for a community to be a part of for LFG, or just have folks to talk to, consider joining the Vengeful Discord server. We are a clan family, as well as where my YouTube family is joining in. So you can join the clan. We currently have Xbox and PC, or let the admins know you are subscribed to my channel and you can be in the server without being in the clan. So again, make sure you guys subscribe. You're already here, so why not hit that red button. Now, if the link that I have for the eventual Discord server in the description box does not work, let me know and I will send you guys a fresh link. Now let's get into the actual video, but start off by looking at if it is wrong or not, or I guess another way of saying it, if it's not cool to use in-game exploits. I'm sure most of us have used them before because, let's face it guys, most exploits are used because they make the activity easier and or faster to complete. I use duping orbs and Pit of Heresy, as well as the Riven cheese, like 99% of the time. These exploits have been around for 1 to 3 years. Recently, we had a different exploit that happened at the beginning of the season of Arrivals. There was a Forge exploit utilizing the Umbral engram system that allowed players to power up without having to play, which is an exploit I refused to do because I had an issue with it. And there was a split in the community around this exploit. Mostly those who used this exploit and those who said it was not cool and refused to use it. Those are like the two groups. Despite the fact that those using the exploit took steps to not ruin that activity for those who are trying to actually complete the activity, this led to an interesting question. Because like I had an issue with that exploit, but not with using other exploits. And people using that AFK forge farming thing would do stuff like drop their power, so that way they were only matching people doing the AFK forge farming, so it wasn't have much of an impact for a player experience, but there was still a divide in the community about whether it was okay to use that exploits or not, which got me thinking, this is a really interesting topic. Why are some exploits more or less universally like, hey, that's okay to use, and others aren't? So I thought it'd be a rather fun thing for this video to look at these different exploits, as well as look at why people use them or don't use them. So first, let's start off by looking at why people might opt to use these exploits. Number one, would probably be for sake of time and for the, it's much easier when you use an exploit. Because, again, let's face it, using exploits usually is to save time and or make something easier to do. Like in teaching runs of raids, I've never been in a last wish that didn't use the cheese unless it was an experienced group where ahead of time they're like, hey, let's do Riven Legit, and they usually just skip to do Riven Legit. I've only done Riven Legit once, and so as I've said before on this channel, and I'll probably say many, many more times, why do something in a few hours if you can do it in 1 hour? Plus, being able to use the wish wall to get to Riven to farm for that 1k makes it a little enticing, to get that easy little key thing, so that way you can get that shot at your 1,000 voices. Reason number two, if you cannot play the game and the same activities over and over while gaining power, then why not? I understand why folks use the AFK Forge farm. Why do the same power grind over and over when you could just take a nap and wake up at a much higher power level? Because that's what that Forge was doing. Number three, to show off speedruns and other impressive things. For example, I watched a 2-minute and 14-second Lake of Shadows Nightfall that involved glitching out of the game to go off map and some other glitches that prevented ads from spawning in. It was nuts. It was crazy watching this guy do this. And what was more nuts was that these exploits are in game and require no additional program or modification. So now we've established, why people would do something like use exploits. We've established that there are some exploits that I use. So now let's move on to the question, why was I against the AFK Forge farming? I understand the desire to do activities more quickly and efficiently. That's why I would do things like the Riven Cheese, as well as duping the orbs for Pits of Heresy. But to me, I was not a fan of not earning my power. I think when it comes to using exploits, it mostly depends on the person. Some find all exploits to be not cool, and some have a mix of what they will or won't use. I found that not earning my power was where I drew the line. I would be in parties with folks and sometimes would have significantly more power, or someone in that party would have significantly more power than us, and they would ask, like, other people in the party would ask that individual, like, hey, did you use that AFK Forge farm? Then I'd hear that accused person shamefully say, yeah. I could tell that using that exploit was a bigger issue than using the Riven Cheese. Bungie does establish some of these feelings of what is okay to use and what isn't. For instance, Bungie said they messed up with the Riven Cheese and they were okay with people using it, so they left it in the game. For duping orbs, Bungie did try to eliminate the latency. They addressed some issues that would allow to, not have as much latency, but that didn't quite work as well as they were hoping, and so that duping of orbs is still available in the game. So here we are. We have a few examples of exploits that Bungie is okay with, especially the Riven Cheese. They specifically called it out as something that they put in the game, and it's going to stay there because it was their fault. Whereas the AFK Forge farming, Bungie said that was not okay, and they fixed the issue by making players have to queue up a forge every time instead of automatically loading back into matchmaking once a forge was completed. In sum, the exploits people use are somewhat set by Bungie because Bungie will either fix it or they won't, and they'll usually issue a statement in regard to that exploit. For anything past what Bungie allows, it falls on the player and what they are okay with. Now, what can Bungie do to eliminate or reduce the number of people using these exploits? The main thing, in my opinion, would be to make the game fun to play and change up the leveling system so that not playing and using something like an AFK Forge farming isn't appealing. We have the same leveling system for what feels like years, and it is so boring. You gotta do things like 3 strikes, you get a reward. You do 100k Nightfall, you get a reward. Do the same raid, you get a reward. Do some PvP and gambits, you get a reward. And it's the same thing every season and expansion. The result? People would rather not play and power up. Like, the folks would rather not play the game to power up than to actually play the game. Like, that's so mind-boggling to me. So Bungie, give us some variety. I hope we see variety with Beyond Light. I want to have either like some kind of a rotation of what kinds of things give you rewards. I'd like to maybe have new ways of attaining rewards, but ultimately, I think the Destiny 1 way of powering up was best, where you had a chance from no matter what you did of being able to have something drop at a higher power. There was nothing set, like do 3 games of Crucible and you get the pinnacle reward. It was just play the game. Sometimes you get a reward that we would think of now as a pinnacle reward, and sometimes it wouldn't do much of anything. And I think we could really use that back, because then people could play the game how they want and still be able to benefit and level up. Obviously, doing certain things would give you better chances and that kind of deal, because that was the same case with Destiny 1. But I think we need to have that aspect of play how you want and be rewarded for it more in Destiny 2, and I really hope that comes with Beyond Light. But again, we won't really know what is going to happen until Beyond Light happens. And then the other main reason that our main change that Bungie really needs to do is something they're already doing. So thank God for this one. Unfortunately, vaulting content is going to make it easier to code activities, which should result in less glitches and exploits. Azatros, he kind of talked about this over the summer. He got into some heat for it, but he's like, hey, I had some meetings. I'm not sure if it's against my ADA, but, a lot of why Bungie is, vaulting stuff is because there's just too damn much stuff in the game. When they make a change, they gotta go through millions, if not billions, of code. Stuff gets missed. Something just doesn't quite work right, and the result is the need to have less content to make sure we don't have as much error. So that's a big thing that I really hope is going to really help, but we won't really know again until we see Beyond Light on November 10th. I do think it'd be cool that puts in some incentives for doing activities as intended. Now, maybe if you do something like Riven Legit, you get a special emblem. Or maybe you have something like higher loot RNG for not using exploits. Things like that. I think that'd be really nifty. And we are all about the loot in games like Destiny. We will do a lot to get that loot. So implementing incentives for not using glitches should reduce the number of exploits and such, because we want the best loot. And if you get the best loot by not doing a glitch, then you're probably not going to do a glitch. Something we can do as a community is not teach people the exploits. This is mostly for us YouTubers and Sherpa people out there. I'm guilty of teaching new players an activity and doing the exploits and explaining how it should work when done legit. I'm really bad about this in Pit of Heresy. If we take the time to not teach exploits and to teach the legit way, more people will know how to do activities without the glitches, and then less people will be aware, which means there's less people doing these glitches. Unless they're on YouTube a whole lot. So we also, as YouTubers, maybe need to stop doing stuff like, here's an insane glitch to get some massive loot. Like, I know it gets you lots of clout, and it's super clickbaity. Talking to you, Mesa Sean and William 1 Million Scream. Like, you two clickbaiting assholes that do nothing but glitches on your channels, but they're definitely not the only ones. So folks like them, and to some degree myself, should really consider not doing so many clout generating videos about glitches. Dado, you are probably the best at this. I have honestly not seen a video from Dado where it's talking about a glitch and how to get around doing something. Now, I don't watch all of his videos, but when I was just kind of scrolling through just a little bit, I wasn't really seeing much. And I don't think I've shared much with glitches, but I'm going to try and take more of a conscious effort to not necessarily show glitches that are not as the game intended. Instead, I think YouTubers such as myself should focus more on here's some loadouts and things you should use that will make your time in that activity more enjoyable, which in turn results in spending less time doing that activity, as opposed to hey, here's a way to play the game that you paid a whole bunch of money for without actually playing the whole thing. We gotta move past that whole point as a Destiny community, especially as content creators. The Destiny community is quickly becoming a community of gamers who don't want to play the game. We are paying money to not play the game, and it's really weird, and I'm guilty of this. I love doing Riven Cheese and duping the orbs. I'm like, oh, thank God, get through this way faster. But the more I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute. kind of like devaluing the like worth of my own money here by doing these things. So all right guys, let me know down below in the comments section what you think about using these exploits, and I would love to hear if you agree with me or disagree with me, as well as any other input you have. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.